Everybody excited for Comicon? Awesome. We have a fantastic panel for you this afternoon. Everybody who's fans of the show Eureka, we have some awesome surprises for you. Together with us today, we have show co-creator and writer Jaime Paglia, and from the show, Dr. Isaac Parrish, we have Wil Wheaton.
This one works. Oh, it does now. Hello. Hey. Hi, guys. Thanks for coming. Well, I'm thrilled that Wil was able to join me here. This is actually my second time to Phoenix, and last year was very serendipitous because I had just met Wil, and Wil said, "You need to meet Felicia Day. She's a good friend of mine." And I came out, and we all had a chance to chat a little bit, and then all of a sudden, Felicia and Wil are coming back for season 4.5, which is premiering Monday, July 11th now. New day and time, 8 p.m. That's going to be, they're going to do a whole new night of programming on Sci-Fi on Mondays. So we're going to be at 8, Warehouse 13 will be at 9, and then they're going to premiere Alphas at 10. So July 11th, on your calendars. Wow, I mean, we've just had the best time.
Yeah, we really have. It's really, and it's weird, it's so weird to me that we started the episodes that you guys are going to see starting in July, we shot last July. And it's so weird, like part of me has forgotten most of what we did, so I'm going to get to watch it sort of new. So like as excited as you are to see the back half of season 4, like I'm 10 times excited. Because I get to find out if everything I'm doing with Dr. Parrish now makes sense. Because it's all already been just, like, it's settled.
Yeah, I think that when Wil came on the show in the first half of the season, we crafted the character to be someone that we would be able to bring back. And there's going to be a very interesting little love triangle that develops with Dr. Parrish and Miss Felicia Day and somebody else on our show, which I'm sure you're going to see soon. We were working on a little technical issue. That was why we were a little bit late starting, and we're going to get that resolved because I'm really going to die if I can't show it to you guys. I just cut together a very special sneak preview of season 4.5 that will be premiered here, literally off the presses. And like I said, the crazy part is because they split our seasons, and season 3 got split into 2, and season 4 got split into 2. We're going to be premiering episodes, these 10 episodes that we had in the can for a long time. We're in the middle of doing season 5 now, and we have Wil back in season 5, which is also very exciting.
It's awesome.
We'll have to talk a little bit about that. We'll talk more about season 4.5. There's so much that I want to tell you. It's just really hard. But I remember when Wil showed up on the set, the first day I saw him, you were a little excited about that.
I was a lot excited. Yeah, I was a lot excited. I remember my first day on All the Rage, we shot in, Eureka takes up 4 stages.
Yeah, I think 5 now at Vancouver Film Studios.
And
we're metastasizing across Vancouver.
And we just keep pushing other shows out. And there's the main kind of GD stage. The rotunda is on, like, takes up 2 levels of this stage, and then the sick bay is underneath it, and then the corridor is underneath that, and then there's all these other hallways, and it's really easy to get lost on the stage if you don't know where you're going. I got lost. Yeah, every time I tried to go to the bathroom, I got lost. Incidentally, you should change the water in the fountain.
Oh,
yeah, it was really fun, and I sort of suffered from the same thing that happens to me when I work on Big Bang Theory. I'm so excited to be there, and I'm so happy to be with people who I consider my friends, where I feel like I am part of family, that it takes me anywhere from a couple of hours to a couple of days to settle back down into the douchey character that I'm supposed to be, because I'm so excited to be there. And it was great. So we did all the Rage, and then I was off for like 6 or 7 episodes, and I was invited back to play Dr. Parrish again for the back 10, and I was in a lot of episodes in the second half of the year. Yep. And that first day back, we did scenes in Cafe Diem, and that's not a spoiler, right?
No, I think we can reveal that.
All right, and so I'm sitting at the counter in Cafe Diem, and I'm like doing this thing, and a person comes over and wants to talk to me about another thing, and then there's another guy who wants to talk about this other thing, and then there's this thing happening, and some characters that we know are also there, and we're thinking about some things, and spoiler alert. And I felt like I was the most unprofessional person in the world, because it took me most of the morning to find Dr. Parrish, and thank God Matt Hastings was on
17 takes. 17.
I mean, it was forever and ever and ever. And as an actor, after like take 4, I'm like, Jesus, like I've done this before, really, I promise. And I just asked Matt to come over, and I said, look, I just need you to tell me that, like, if this is right or wrong, because I don't think that this is right, this thing that I'm doing. He was like, okay, do it for me. So like, it was like I had an audition again.
Yes.
And just showed Matt, like, this is what I'm doing. He's like, good, do more of that.
You passed the audition.
Yeah, which is great.
Let's to come back again. Well, you know, I want to open it up to questions as soon as possible, because I know you guys have a lot of questions generally. But what you can kind of look forward to, and I'm just dying to show you this DVD. It's killing me.
I think they're still working on it backstage.
All right, we're still working on it.
For now, if you guys want to go ahead and line up, Mike here is standing behind the microphone. If you want to line up behind him, he'll be talking about the questions.
But what you can look forward to is, so how many of you guys saw season 4? Most of you? Yeah, awesome. And how did you feel about us shifting the whole timeline and changing all their lives? We're not changing it back, just so you know. We're going to be exploring in the back 10 episodes more of the ramifications of the timeline shift for all of our characters and their relationships and their different roles, and new surprises come up. And, you know, I think everybody in the writer's room, certainly, and our cast as well, we're so excited about that change. It's just sort of, you know, taking our show and sort of shifting it 90 degrees, so it's still our show, they're still our people, but we throw them into these sort of amazing circumstances and watch them adapt and see whether they grow into those roles or whether they, you know, sort of shrink away and want to do something different. It's been the most fun to explore, and as much as I have loved, and I don't say this lightly, I love the first half of the season. I think I might actually love the second half more. So you'll get some, hopefully, a sneak peek of that shortly. So, questions?
Yes. My question is...
Uh-oh, microphone. There we go.
Is the romance between Fargo and the Warehouse 13 character going to continue? And could you explain the Christmas episode a little bit more? It was a little confusing.
All right, well, the first part, yeah, well, you know, we loved having Allison Scagliotti over, and Claudia is amazing. It is a trick. There will be potentially more in the future. We'll see. I'm not even sure how I'm allowed to tell you exactly what's going to go on, but it was something that we had to kind of, I think, keep somewhat contained to the episodes that we did this last season, just because, as you know, we're shooting our season, they're shooting their season, we're in Vancouver, they're in Toronto. It's very challenging, not just from the scheduled side of where our actors are and their shooting days that are on the shows that they're already doing, but also just for the writers. We have to figure out when we're going to write them into an episode that can potentially have that actor available. So there are a lot of extra degrees of difficulty that kind of go into it, but we would love to do more with them, so we'll see what happens. So for Christmas, you were confused about Christmas because all of a sudden people were there or weren't there, or were they together or were they not together, those kinds of things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the timeline difference between the episodes, like where they split it and the characters that were missing in the Christmas episode, and then everything was just very confusing with the timelines.
You know, it was a challenge because the goal was to create a perennial Christmas episode, and something that would kind of stand outside of our general timeline and all the things that were happening, because we've become very purposefully a little bit more serialized over the last couple of seasons. It was something that Bruce Miller, who's my co-showrunner, and I and our amazing writing staff felt very strongly about, that there would be ongoing ramifications to these episodes when things happen to them. And obviously we had this huge timeline shift. But then one of the things that I've wanted to do for a very long time, Eric Wallace, who's been with me from the very beginning as our PA and has moved up to executive story editor this year, he was always pushing me to do this a Christmas episode. And we had the opportunity, and the Sci-Fi Network was really behind it, which was great. But in order for it to feel like an episode that you could play every year, ideally, it couldn't have, you couldn't really be in the middle of a major character storyline. It had to sort of stand on its own. We didn't want to have characters present there who, in years from now, were a part of our main cast of characters, because it could feel disjointed again if you were watching it. So we sort of made the decision, not to have some of the newer characters who have been introduced this last season be in the episode. But we also didn't want to completely ignore the fact that Fargo was now the head of Global Dynamics, and that Carter and Allison were in this relationship. So we sort of decided to allow some of those elements to be present, but not be too on the nose with where they were in their relationship. We didn't have major conversations about Allison and Carter's relationship. It was really about everybody's relationship to the holiday and what it meant to them. So
you should just imagine that this particular episode exists in a timeline where Marty's parents don't actually meet.
Or that.
My question is for Will, and it's a little off topic from Eureka. You once played at a convention, a D&D game, where one of your characters had died, and you were kind of forced into the Stinky the zombie.
Yeah, Mr. Stinky.
Do you miss Mr. Stinky?
I really miss Mr. Stinky. Mr. Stinky was a great character.
Do you ever replay him in your off time whenever you're playing with your friends or what have you? Did you rebuild him and continue Mr. Stinky's story?
Are you saying when I'm playing with myself, do I play with Mr. Stinky? Is that kind of where this is going?
How many kids are here before we can
I have Mr. Stinky's character sheet, but I actually prefer to run games rather than play in them. So Mr. Stinky has not made any appearances recently. The number of fart jokes I want to make right now is really overwhelming me.
Hi, I'm a fairly recent addition to the viewers, and I was watching the previous seasons, seasons 1 and 2, and during the time you guys created a conflict between Jack and Henry over Kim's death and Jack's memory got erased, etc. But you guys never really resolved that conflict. I was wondering exactly why you guys chose not to explore that.
I feel like we resolved the conflict insofar as it's funny. There was a major confrontation scene from Phoenix Rising that was cut, actually. That we really saw Carter remember what was going on and tell Henry, I know what you did, and Henry was apologizing and really couldn't forgive himself for what he had done. And it's interesting how there are times when you write something that I really felt very strongly that it was something that I wanted to be in the episode. And then I looked at the episode as a whole, And that part of it just stood out as being like from a completely different show. It just, it didn't work in the context of the big framework of it. So we've always sort of had this something for, I think, I like the fact that there's, again, there are ongoing ramifications to those choices. And Henry did something that he will always have to sort of carry with him. Carter had pieces of memories and, thinking that he knew that something wasn't quite right. But ultimately that instead of it being a big profession, where then Carter was going to have to look at Allison and say, oh, wait a second, we were something potentially, and now we're not. That was taken away, or any memories of that were taken away. Is to kind of see what role fate might have in all of this, and see if Carter and Allison kind of grow together. And you might remember, if you saw the end, did you see the end of season 4? The first half of season 4,
Yes.
I'll Be Seeing You. When Allison and Henry are walking out to the gorge right before she's killed, and she's talking about the fact that she and Carter are seeing each other, and Henry says, I always sort of have a feeling that you guys, were meant to be together. That was a nod to what you're talking about, that he has always known that there was a relationship there that he took away. And I think he's gratified that it's sort of going the way that it should. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you.